Today, I want to talk about attachment issues and more specific, how do we get attached to things and people in life. I think it's very important to discuss this topic because eventually it's affecting us on a day-to-day basis without realizing it. If you're new to my channel, welcome back. Today, I want to talk about attachment issues. Since we were little, we got very used to be attached to people and things. For example, when we were babies, we were constantly with our moms or dads, most of us, and that kind of create an attachment issue where we think and we believe that we will remain with those people for the rest of our life, which, as we know, we are not immortal. Hence, we would not be able to live our entire life with these people. And I think it's important to discuss this topic because it creates a specific emotion in us once we've been separated from people or things. Let's take an example. When I was little, my mom was a single mom. She raised me on her own, and she would always tell me, "Zee, please take care of your things because I can't afford to buy something new," and so and so. So I had one bike during my childhood that even the seat was almost broken down. Until the end, I was riding that bike because I knew my mom would not buy me a new one. And essentially, I would take care of that bike consistently, making sure no one would steal my bike, that I'm not going to break my bike. So I was kind of creating this attachment towards that bike, which there is no right and wrong. However, I got so attached to the point where when that bike broke down, I was devastated, and especially because I wasn't able to get a new one. So this is one example. And then other examples, like my mom would buy me a pair of trainers and she would say, take care of them, make sure you clean them on a daily basis because I wouldn't be buying you new ones anytime soon. So make sure I constantly take care of my things, which is it's the right thing to do. You know, we have to appreciate things in life and understand that things are not just given to us. However, this creates an attachment in the longer term, where we then get used to get attached to everything, including people. When we start getting attached to people, we are creating some sort of a misery for us in the long term. For example, you're with a partner and then you break up one day for one reason or another, and we struggle for a long time because we've got so attached to them. So we're not talking anymore about love, we're talking about attachment issues. And it creates a lot of misery, and it takes us a long, long time to recover from that until we move on to the next relationship, and then we have the same attachment problem, and again we attach to our partner. So it's important to understand that everything is changing. When I was doing my Vipassana course, one of the teaching is, well, not one of the teachings, but the main teaching is that everything is changing, and we're constantly creating cravings for specific feelings, for specific things to happen in our life. For example, when we are happy, we want to be constantly happy, we want to have only positive experience, positive emotions, and we don't want to be unhappy or have a negative things. However, those things are just part of life, and it's simply impossible to consistently be 100% happy or 100% to have positive experience and not to have any negative experience. And we are constantly craving specific emotions, craving specific experiences. But the Vipassana teaching it's teaching us that everything is changing. And I really appreciate the fact that during the meditation, that was the main purpose of the practice. When we sit down to meditate, we would sit for many hours in a specific position. And after, I think, the fourth or the fifth day, part of the meditation technique was not to, if possible, not to change our position. And at the beginning, I was a bit skeptical because I was thinking, oh my God, my knees will fall off. I can't feel my sit bones. I've been in this position for so long. It's so uncomfortable. Then we started practicing observation of the sensation, which means that we will practice the sensations on our body, whether they're pleasant or unpleasant, and we'll only observe them without naming them or judging them, whether this is pleasant or unpleasant. For example, I would feel like a sharp pain on my lower back, and then I would just observe and not name the feeling. And it kind of helped me when I finished with the retreat. When I came back to the real life, I realized how we get attached to specific sensations. And I really appreciate the fact that I've learned through Vipassana meditation technique how to observe the sensations of my body I'm feeling when I'm in an uncomfortable position. The same way when I'm feeling not 100%, but when I have a day where I'm not 100% happy, I would just observe it without naming or judging what I feel. For example, this is good or bad, because essentially in life there is no good and bad. The Vipassana meditation technique is teaching us that everything as it is. And so sometimes we'd have an experience where we would get frustrated towards people, how they treat us, or we'll get frustrated towards things in life that are happening to us. And the only reason why we're actually getting frustrated is because we have a specific attachment to an expectation. We would expect for things to happen the way we want rather than the way the things are. And the Vipassana meditation technique is teaching us that everything is as it is. It's not the way we want it to be. It's not the way we imagine it to be. It's just what it is. Meaning that if someone is treating you not fairly or poorly, it's just what it is. And if you stop naming the experience bad, it makes you feel very different to instead naming the experience as bad, or that person is treating me unfairly, that person is bad, or whenever we start naming things, we create a specific emotions in us. So if we stop for a second and we just think, okay, this is what it is, it's neither good or bad, it's just what it is, that would create a little bit more peace in us, and then we'll start seeing the things in life as they are rather than as we should, as we think they should be. For example, another example is if you, let's say you're expecting something to happen, let's say get a new job, and then you get so attached to the let's take an example of you are expecting for a new job to happen and you get so attached to it, you've been preparing for months, and then you don't get the job. Now, because you've been attached for so many months or weeks preparing for that job interview, preparing for everything, you get disappointed. The only reason you're getting disappointed is because you got attached to the feeling of, or the thought, I want it to happen. You're also disappointed and probably sometimes miserable is because your expectation was very different. So if we start changing our mindset to, okay, I didn't get the job, full stop, instead of I didn't get the job, I'm so disappointed, I've been preparing for this job for weeks, So it's this rounding and winding in our mind. It's what creates the misery. It's not the actual fact that we didn't get the job. It's what we believe it should have happened, and also what we tell ourselves is how we feel. During the Vipassana meditation, we would practice that everything is changing. So we would practice observing the sensations on our body. And at the beginning, it was very hard. I would just feel my body aching because I would sit for 1 hour of meditation and it would be extremely uncomfortable. But then eventually I've started to be more calmer and to just observe every sensation of my body, and I would just think, oh, this is neither good or bad, it's just a sensation, and everything is changing. Everything is changing. Every second of our life, everything is changing, and every sensation of our body is changing. So nothing is permanent, whether you're experience nirvana, for example, or an extreme happiness. Everything is changing because in the next moment you have a completely different feeling towards everything. So this is something that I really learned in the Vipassana meditation, that everything is changing and there is no point for us to get attached towards things or people because everything is changing every second. So I would sit in the meditation and I'll have this sharp pain, and then in 1 minute later I would just observe it and it would be gone. And then I realized how really everything is changing and there is no point really to attach towards people, because essentially this will just create more misery. Unfortunately, we're immortal, and there will be a time in our life where we will lose loved ones. Maybe we would leave or lose people, partners, friends, and we would feel very sad and miserable because we've been attached to those people in a very extreme level without realizing it. We've been practicing these attachments for years and years and years without really thinking that everything is changing. And even though we know that everything is changing, even though we know we won't be for the rest of our life with these people, maybe yes, maybe no, we don't know. But no one is teaching us that in school. We learn so many different things, but no one is preparing us for this separation of people when the time comes. So it's really our responsibility to learn how to cut that attachment. And it's extremely hard, and especially when we have parents, that they've been with us for most of our life, and suddenly we're losing them. It's a very sensitive topic. However, practice non-attachment might create some sort of a little bit more easiness for us to be prepared when the time comes. And I know we would never be prepared for that. It's the hardest thing that someone can experience. But maybe if we practice that non-attachment, at least we'll have a little bit more peace when the time comes. So if everything is changing constantly, and this is what we've been learning through our Vipassana meditation technique, how do we expect everything to be constantly the same? It can't be, because every cell of our body is changing. In 1 second you're experiencing extreme pain in your body. In the next second you're fine. How crazy is that? That everything is changing every second. So if you're going through some tough time for one reason or another, I would just say that we know that things are changing, and that feeling will go away. It will just get easier. Whatever you're feeling, whether you're feeling sad, whether for one reason or you're feeling disappointed, whether you've lost someone, everything is changing, and in 1 year completely different. Maybe you will still feel sad, but not to that extreme level. We as humans are very adaptable humans, and I can assure you that this shall pass too, and you'll feel better. you have a better days, and life will. Don't get attached to that thing right now. Just believe that everything is changing constantly, everything is changing every second. And maybe if you have the opportunity to spend 10 days, meditate, and understand the Vipassana technique, I will guarantee you that it will life, because Vipassana is changing people's life. It has changed my life. It changed many people's life, because we now understand that everything is changing, and we are practicing non-attachment every day, which I think it's the core. Be ease with yourself. When we practice non-attachment, we understand that everything is changing. We understand that this moment will not happen ever again. This moment right now, when you're listening to me, this moment will not happen ever again. Obviously, you can repeat that video and listen it many times, as many as you want. But this particular moment where you're sitting in your particular body and taking this particular breath, watching me, talking to you, that would never happen again. And so maybe you should tell yourself, this moment would never happen again. Whatever it's you're experiencing, it's some bad feelings, whether you're feeling good, maybe not so good, maybe you're sad or maybe happy, this particular moment will never happen again. So maybe just think about that and enjoy this moment, enjoy this right now, this second, because it will never happen again. And if you're going through some tough time, just remember that this moment will never happen again. Next moment, it's a completely different story. You might feel good, you might feel not so good, but then that moment will also go away, and then you will be in a new moment. And so if you're going through a tough time, please remember that this will show also pass, and this is just the moment. Next moment, you'll feel completely different. If you're going through a tough time, for example, you are at a job that you don't necessarily enjoy doing, but you have to do it because you have bills to pay and maybe you have a family to feed, remember that this shall pass too, and it's just a moment. Nothing is permanent, and this will change very soon. So you might as well just enjoy this moment, because it will change whether you want to or not. Everything is changing constantly. In a few weeks or maybe a year time from now, you are not going to be in the job that you don't enjoy. So just observe it and enjoy it, and just think about that. Think about and understand that this is not permanent. This shall pass too. And then before you know, you'll be in a completely different situation, because everything is changing. Nothing is permanent. Alright friends, so if you want to learn more about Vipassana, I will leave a link down below how you can sign up to the Vipassana meditation course. And then if you'd like to leave some comments or any questions, you can also add them in the comment section. I hope you have an amazing day, and just remember that everything is changing. Everything is changing, whether we want things to change or not. Everything is changing, and life goes on. Much love. Bye.